Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever, however you are joining us. This is the I Speak Jeep podcast.
You sure?
I am sure. Presented by
I'm not sure, but that's fine.
SFJ 4x4 dash Simpson Family Jeeps. And if you don't know, now you know.
Yes.
But just
Tell your friends.
Just tell your friends.
We were
right?
hiding in plain sight this weekend. That's all I got to say.
I heard that. We were called cute.
Yes.
Maybe quaint at one time.
Yeah.
Big shout out to that.
I think they were referring to Jeff.
If you don't know what we're talking about, folks, you're going to hang in here for the program because we had a pretty big weekend. One of the larger shows in the country. Was just a few hours from within our shop, and so we were out there this weekend cohorting.
Mm-hmm.
And had a very nice experience. So
it's a few hours when Scott's driving. When I was driving, it was an hour and 15 minutes. But
totes, I'm with you. But we're going to be telling you roughly the 6 or 7 top reasons you would and should be attending this event in the future. And as we do that, we're going to be unpacking some of what our experience over the years, and we're going to break it down into those 7 categories of why you should be making this a priority and what our experience was, what it in fact was. So, my name is Neil with Simpson Family Jeeps, and I'm joined in Grandma's Couch Studio with a couple fine gentlemen here.
We'll start with my elder over there.
Oh, geez.
Oh, my God. Your elder and former body double.
Yes.
Yeah, until he put on those 20 pounds.
Yeah. the mad scientist, Scott Brown, with my youngin' over there.
With
right.
my youngin'.
Jeff
You are
Bravani.
the worst. You guys are the worst.
Yeah.
Does not make sense at all. Does not make sense. We have just take a moment.
I want to say, before you even get into that, one of the compliments that we got about our podcast this weekend was that they loved our banter.
Huh.
So there you go. There's some extra banter there just for that.
100%. We see you. We hear you.
Well, and you know what?
The best part is not an act. It's just what we do.
That's just who we are. Which is, what's funny, long before the podcast actually started, I remember a couple of our good longitudinal customers, and they would sit in the front showroom area, and they would joke and say they just love to sit and listen to us talk in the shop. Which, I mean, how many garages can you say that that you just like to listen to them talk shop in the background there?
Yeah. And then Chuck's in the comments going, I don't see anyone dipping cakes into coffee. Chuck, we're going to talk about that. And if you're watching, you can see a stack as tall as Scott sitting next to him there.
We're traumatized at this point about coffee cake. I don't really want to see.
The sad part is we gave away at least a dozen cases of coffee cake.
Right.
And yet there's that stack next to Scott.
It's still there. So, yeah, I mean, we had a great experience, Bantam Jeep Heritage Festival. And we came out, and a big testament and a thank you to those of you who are, dedicated listeners or viewers of the program, and prioritize stopping by to share with us. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, racing back in and having this podcast this morning is for you.
Yeah.
And so it's really important to note, like, in the industry, most or many of the other businesses that were present there, they often do like a loose transitional day. Right.
Yeah.
It's usually following an event like that, especially if they've worked a couple days leading up to and in and during, Monday, Tuesday are loose. But for us, the value of getting back in and supporting you, our listeners, you kind of keep us going in that regard. Makes it fun.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because I know I'm hoarse and definitely tired.
And if you ever
100%.
needed 100% people showing that they listen to us, it's the stack of coffee cake.
The virility.
They were so excited.
The fact that went so viral,
Yes.
the joke that we made sitting here a week ago
Yes.
just went viral.
And I think it was great was that, and thanks to all of you, those of you who even kind of as you got closer to and within the event time. And like maybe you didn't make a coffee cake or you didn't buy a box from the store. Ran out. We got muffins. We got brownies. We got the kind of the
Cookies.
store. Oh, we got the most
Homemade
delicious
Jeep cookies.
Or
delicious sugar cookies.
or if they just mentioned it.
I
and
believe
said,
it was Anne who brought us those sugar cookies. So I want to give her a shout out on
Yeah.
that.
But we had a bunch of people come up and say, we understand you have too many now, so we're just going to reference it.
Yes.
We did hear you,
Yes.
and we would have brought you it, but we
But
understand you have a bellyache
you're
because
loaded
you
up.
ate so much coffee cake.
I have not had so much processed sugar coffee. I think you all have cured me.
We've taken years off our life.
Yes.
Yes.
Now I am going to give a special shout out to Bill McWilliams
Oh yeah.
because Bill exceeded the assignment and brought us like the most delicious homemade
Actual coffee cake.
It was
He was the only one that brought actual homemade coffee
It was,
cake.
yes.
and I understand that you might not have had time in your weekly schedule, and so
Right.
the many boxes. Josh brought us 4 boxes. It was awesome. Started off. We had a great showing, a great assemblage at one time, and we have them here in studio.
We started going through the different brands
because
even.
we got different brands. It was awesome to see people traveling from different parts of the country to come to the show. So whether you were coming from the south of Virginia or West Virginia, or you're coming from the east, from Connecticut, Philadelphia, that New Jersey area,
Yeah.
we had Entenmann's. We have obviously Hostess. We have Drake's. And I think there's literally the brand is called Baker's.
Yes.
So in-house for some of these pre-made products, we have, and of course that was just a couple of them, because then there was like little individual ones people brought. They were throwing them out of Jeeps at us.
Yep.
So funny. So what we decided next year, we're just going to throw this out there, right, for our listeners. I'm going to put it on the calendar. Put it on the calendar. You ready? What we're going to decide next year is the swag exchange is going to be steaks. And we're going to bring a grill.
And you just bring us steaks.
And you just bring us steaks. And we're going to grill.
And I identify as a hamburger as a steak, so if you can't just swing a steak.
Well,
hamburger's
that's what I
fine.
was thinking. Like, we don't
Yeah.
bring burgers. We can totes do the burgers. And
Maybe
we'll
some
be,
Smith hot dogs too.
ooh, we're going to bring a grill, and we're going to be grilling. And you know what? Everybody's going to want to know who these group of people are
Yes.
who
And
are grilling and eating the meats. And
And I
we can throw some
apologize-
veggies in there. I've got a skillet. I've got a Blackstone, so I can do veggies.
I want to apologize to the people surrounding us already next year
Because they're going to be drooling the
they're gonna
whole
be
time.
drooling
I'm
the whole
not
time.
apologizing
I-
at all.
I'm not either.
SFJ
I don't
4x4
care.
difference. That's
So Chuck's in the comments going, it was good to see Doc Brown out there and out and about. Michael saying, good morning, SFJ. Leaving Cooper's Lake now. The quiet after almost everyone left was strange. I bet it was.
I
Yeah.
guarantee it is. That's amazing.
And then Chuck saying, pro tip next year, ask for pulled pork. Again, we're doing steak.
Well, and maybe we'll smoke a pork right in our booth.
Hey, I could bring the smoker down.
We could bring the smoker. We might have a full kitchen. Well, actually, a number of people commented. On our little kitchen space that I had set up. I actually had been noodling on that for a couple of years, and kind of brought it to fruition. And a big thanks. I do want to take a quick moment. We're going to regale you some stories. We are going to tell you those 7 things that make Bantam special, and we're going to get to that. I'm going to regale you some stories, but I'm going to do a huge thanks. In part to Jason and Ronnie, which are Jeep family
yes.
by extension, because
They're
realistically,
fully adopted at this
oh
point.
my God, yeah. Because without them, we would be stuck on the side of the road right now, still today.
Yes.
I would be up to my elbows.
We wouldn't have been at the show in full force like we were.
Correct. We wouldn't have been able to do that, and I'd be up to my elbows working on an international. So. And we'll tell you that story in a second. But with that said, they actually went out and did some supply shopping for us the night of setup, and ensured that we were able to kind of set up this little outdoor kitchen. So if you were at our space, we had the cooler going, the little refrigerator had ice cold water, and some Gatorades and some fruit. We obviously had the coffee burning all 3 days. And what that comes down to is there was years ago when we first started out, and then what we called the lean years, And obviously, you know, if you listen to this program for 30 seconds, you know I'm a voracious coffee drinker, and I couldn't get coffee.
Yes.
We didn't have power at the sites.
Nope.
You know, we didn't have the Makita powered coffee makers.
Didn't exist.
Didn't exist.
We had talked about going and getting a trucker coffee pot for you.
I tried,
but that was like
for
2
years.
years in after that point when we
Correct.
finally were like, okay, we need to do this.
Correct. And I have looked over the years for like a 12-volt trucker coffee pot, and
Yeah.
and they seem to be a dying art themselves. Yes. Long story short, I could never get a cup of coffee in the morning or during the show
Yes.
in a convenient manner. And
I
so
think I remember someone bringing you coffee and you like pledging your undying love to them.
and that actually did happen a couple of years. You're unquestionably accurate in that in that memory.
Yeah. All right, Scott.
Scottism.
Amanda is in the comments saying, "Morning, guys."
Good morning.
And Doug is saying sausage, potatoes, and onions on the griddle. That is a good meal.
It's definitely doable. So long story short, I kind of said that when we got to a particular point, that I was just going to ensure that we had a coffee pot and cold waters and snacks going at all times, that our customers, our good customers, right? We're not trying to get the general public. We're not trying to sell anything to anybody, but our good customers know that it's there. The other vendors who are on their literally can come to our booth and have a cup of coffee and have a water if they are not in a position to be providing that themselves. That was something important to me.
And, other vendors that don't have a credit card machine can come work deals with us because we ran some credit cards.
We
for
ran
other
credit
vendors.
cards for other business. And it's just we started on the other side. We started in the grind. We started in the dirt, literally in the dirt.
Literally.
And I just kind of always knew it was never going back there. But on the process, I'm a firm believer that as you get bigger, you just build a bigger table in the process. And I think a testament to all the people who came out and helped and got in on the jokes with us and got swag to take what they were so excited for that.
Oh, and we had
a testament to that bigger table.
Several of our listeners that got to meet us for the first time, and I think my favorite story of that was Brad Davis.
Oh yeah,
because we were literally in line. Davey and I were in line to grab Stromboli's, and I look over and I see our I Speak Jeep podcast shirt in a light blue color, and I jokingly said to Davey, I was like, "Hey, did you make that shirt?" And he's like, "Well, I'm sure I did." I don't remember when we sold that, and I was like, all right, I'll say something. So I turn over, I'm like, "Hey, nice shirt." And the guy looks over, he's like, "Hey, thanks. You're Jeff."
Yes.
Oh, wait, you must be Davey.
Yes.
And we just had this great interaction, and he actually was looking for the booth, so I kind of pointed him where to go, and he came over, got to meet you, and I think
then he
met
came back
Scott
on Saturday.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And I thought that was also another funny observation was how many people enjoyed both the shirts they received, but the fact that we were appropriately adorned in that. And they thought it was funny, so a lot of people commented on our shirts themselves.
Yes,
because they liked the
asking
phraseology,
what kind of work
right?
we would do.
Right, what kind of work would you do, and then having a talking point. We were out to eat at Eaton Park, and a guy commented on my shirt. He didn't care, about the show or anything. He was like, I was 40 years in the coffee industry. I think he went back and he told his table of his kids and everything. He was
awesome.
like, no, that's coffee. That's how coffee has benefited the world. You know what I mean? Like, I kid you not, it was so true.
My favorite part of the Eaton Park experience was Saturday night when we were all there, and so we're all at Eaton Park, sitting down having food, and the waitress noticed us all wearing the shirts that say "Will work for coffee cake." So she goes, "So you guys will come wash our dishes?
Yeah,
well,
wash dishes.
We will make you a coffee cake here at Eaton Park." If you'll come wash dishes.
Yeah, we politely declined on that. So I'm fully embracing
Yes.
the rugged nature of Bantam. I'm literally still wearing the band for our listeners and viewers at home. I want you to be able to see
wearing the
that.
grease from your truck.
I still have the grease from my truck, and I have the shirt. It could probably stand up on its own at this point because it did not get
We're
laundered.
gonna send Neil
promise
home
you.
for
What
a
that smell
shower
is.
It
afterwards.
did not get
Oh.
laundered last night by any stretch of the imagination. But I
Luckily,
want
it was kind of chillier yesterday, so
It was not. We did not sweat like we have in the past.
No.
You know.
Giaga Jeepers is also saying good morning. SFJ,
Good morning. So I have the shirt on. If you're viewing at home, you can kind of see. I was embracing the fact that when we do these shows, I think what sets us apart is we're there to grind it out a little bit.
Yeah.
And everybody we bring in kind of understands the assignment and appreciates what we bring to the table to be where the Jeepers are. You know.
And since Giaga Jeepers is on here, I wanted to point out that they actually made a point to stop by the booth as well, hand us a business card with a keychain rubber duck attached to it.
Nice.
It was a little green ducky on it, and you found it
In your Jeep, right?
in my Jeep because I had it sitting there to make sure we.
He took it and put it in his Jeep right away.
Yeah,
I know.
of course.
Yep, he liked it
He
that
wasn't
much.
ducked enough.
No.
I didn't get ducked at all this year.
Oh, isn't that
Weird.
interesting?
It was it was kind of unique.
Yeah.
So there was a
It was
little
the big
wooden
crack in the windshield. That's why.
Oh, jeez.
It's because people can't relate to your Jeep anymore. It's too
Yes,
big. It's on
it's too big.
37s and
That's
long
what it
arms.
was. The
Yeah.
37s did it in.
Yep.
The wooden duck was on.
That was on
windshield.
Eugene,
Yep.
the yellow Jeep, right?
No.
Yeah. Eugene got ducked, and
But the
the
wooden
wagon,
duck was on the wagon windshield wiper.
Oh,
the wagon
That's
got
cute.
ducked at least twice.
Yeah. It was
2 or 3 times the wagon.
Yeah.
It was definitely once again the belle of the ball.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it was definitely a full size event for us.
Yes.
because everybody came up and was like, "Wow, you have a wagon." Yep, we work on those. You do? Yep, we sure do.
I thought it was the hardest thing to tell people that we work on them, and then they just didn't believe us.
Yeah.
What? I just thought to myself,
You really do full size though?
would you really do full size?
Yes.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why?
Anything
Why?
Jeep.
Why?
Yeah, and then I
It's
But full
such a
size.
peculiar
But then
conversation
the
we had
co-
on multiple occasions.
then the
you know?
coded questions start. Well, do you actually know what you're talking about? And then I once
Oh,
you pass that test,
You loved it. You loved, some people kind of trying to grill you and pass the
Yeah.
test. We both love it and we kind of hate it because there's
Yeah.
there's just, there's an old guard. What
Yes.
I'd like to say it's just an old guard. It's
What-
a
Yes.
mentality that.
Yeah, you guys were kind of my old guard because they'd ask me those questions like, "Hold on, let me get the experts for you."
Oh,
Yes,
geez.
yeah. Good handling. Good handling. Oh my.
the best part though is that on Sunday I was able to go down to the car show at in Ashtabula Lakeshore Park, and I took the 36, and I had that continue with the car because
Oh boy.
I ended up parking next to another 36 with a flathead, and of course that attracted all the old guard
Yes.
just because they're showing people the motors and how they work and that kind of stuff. And at some what I love to do when I'm incognito is just to stand behind and listen. So I'm letting these guys banter, and at some point I absentmindedly put my arm on my car, and then that alerted them that I belong to the car. And like you experienced early on, where they're like, "Oh, where's the dad or where's the grandpa that actually built the car?" And you're
yes.
just riding with them, like, "Oh no, that's actually mine." And they're like, "Oh, well, now we have to test you."
Now you must be tested. Your knowledge base is inferior to ours.
Oh, that's your car. Who built it?
Oh,
Yeah,
I did.
I literally
you're
heard
too
that.
young to own this company.
It is.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like, people.
Mm.
I read people a lot.
I know. It's amazing. This information's out there.
Yes.
And I just like old things. It's
Yes.
cool.
Yes.
Giaga Jeepers is saying I really like the half Jeep trailer.
Awesome. Yeah. And you know what? We had a number of people taking pictures of that.
Yes.
It was not.
I literally stopped at the gas station this morning and it was complimented on.
Isn't that something?
They
Isn't that
literally
funny?
a guy was walking into the gas station and stopped and stood at the door open. I was like, "Oh, he's holding the door for me." And as I get up to him, he's like, "I just got to say that trailer's really cool. Did you build it yourself?" I'm like, "Well, our shop built it. I didn't." But
Right.
he's like, "Well, that's really cool."
Right.
And then he proceeded to walk into the store, didn't hold the door for me. I'm like,
Well, you did build it, so you didn't.
Yeah, I was gonna say you weren't worthy. He
Yes.
tested you, and he found you unworthy.
Yes. Door will be in your face
The
now.
door will be
like,
closed.
all right, well, all right, that's cool.
The one I loved the most was a guy that didn't say anything. He came up to the trailer and he's investigating the wheel well and the flare, like this. Got his neck craned around. He's doing
It's like
his
the puppy
best.
dog
Yes,
confused look.
looking around. And then he just toddled off. He didn't ask any questions. Yeah, I guess he had seen what he needed to see. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I mean, so many people, and that's what I think is what we try to do is we bring a diversity of Jeep-specific products,
Yep.
right? And so there's businesses out there that will bring, and I'll say Skyjack because we're next to them. They brought a Ford.
Yeah, a dent side
Ford,
Which
actually a lot of people gravitated to.
Yeah, they liked
ducked it.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
It got ducked.
It
That's
got
fine.
ducked.
You know what? And we'll talk about that here in a hot second when we talk about the 7 things about the event. But they brought the dent side. They brought a brand new JL that was fully built, and then they had a really cool LJ TJ Unlimited.
That was also yellow.
That was also solar yellow.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to Eugene. But, they brought a diversity of vehicles to show their brand.
Yeah.
And so that's cool, but we are a Jeep-specific business, and for the many years that we've been doing this, it's always been my objective to bring a diversity of Jeep-specific vehicles to let you know that there's something for you within Simpson Family Jeeps, right?
Yep.
And the trailer was a piece that we did in part for our Patreons.
Mm-hmm.
They got to see the follow along. Davey actually took that on as a pet project to update on the Patreon page.
Yeah, follow along with the metalwork and
follow
the paint.
along with stuff. Yeah, and it's just a really nice, it's a late 80s, maybe even a 90.
It's an 89.
It's an 89 short box.
Yep.
With
As they should be.
Nope. And it had it has
real quick to say nope.
It has a Navajo gem top, which was
Yes.
actually a dealer option top at the time. I understand it.
Mm-hmm.
And we had one of our approved paint shops do some additional paint and do some additional body work and
Mm-hmm.
repair some of the fiberglass top. We talked about
Yep.
that. He helped with that. You did a bunch of metal work on it.
We righted it wrong that you can now put a 37 or 35 on it without any.
Very comfortably.
Yes.
Right? Very comfortably. And it looks beautiful. It
Yeah.
looks beautiful. It's going to be getting shined up. I actually went to the show. We had tried briefly to purchase a tailgate
Mhm.
prior to the event.
Yep.
They're just getting harder and harder to find in any type of quality or condition.
Yes.
And so I was prepared thinking that it would be fun content that I would buy a gate at the event.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
was
did that happen?
sadly disappointed.
Yeah, I was not ready.
There
There was a couple looked like they got ran over by the International,
yes.
and they still wanted like $300.
They
for
used them as ramps to load,
Yes.
load Jeeps,
I
basically.
Guarantee that might have been used as a ramp for at least a lawnmower at some point,
At least.
multiple times.
Yep, into the bed or something, or dirt
Yeah.
bike. Take the gate off and load the dirt bike
Yes.
into the bed or something. I don't know.
Yes. Which
Yeah.
it's fine. Those things are rare, and they had some factory rear bumpers too. I also was not ready for how expensive those were, mainly because we were around when those things were more common.
Yep.
Or a little bit the ugly stepchild that nobody quite understood. I remember buying a whole Comanche for $300
Yes.
and then driving it.
Yep.
So I wasn't
Same
quite,
Z's,
I wasn't quite
Samesies.
ready. This is showing my age, I guess.
I guess.
I don't know. It's fine. I appreciate the people being able to
Speaking
do that.
of age, I think the other fun story on age was Eaton Park when we were picking on Davey about milkshakes or something, and the waitress told us that we had to stop picking on him, and he
Yes.
just responds like the savage, going, "It's just because they're a bunch of grumpy old men."
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Just
we're
put
all
us all
just
in
like,
our
"Well,
place."
okay,
Well,
that's
that's pretty
fair.
accurate, actually.
we can't argue with you."
But she
Davey.
was totally trying to take care of Davey.
She was definitely trying to take care of Davey. she was.
Yeah.
And if she's listening, if there's ever a moment that she's listening, Davey might be interested.
Yeah, I
I'm just-
know.
we never know. You don't know. There could be an exchange of
Feel
numbers.
free to reach out.
Feel free to reach out. You
Yeah.
can text our text only number 440-855-2100. Davey's number might
Might appear.
might appear
magically
back.
text right back, whether he knows it or not.
That's
Yes.
part of the Jeep life, right? That's part of it.
100%.
Oh my gosh. So anyways, the trailer got some nice looks, got some good attention.
Yep.
Objectively, we're still looking. We need to round out the bumper
Yep.
and the tailgate.
Yep.
We're gonna get some additional work in the trailer so that we can be at more events in a less chaotic nature. So
Yeah.
that'll just all of our stuff will just stay on that rig,
Yep.
and go to events in the future. So looking forward to that. And then we had your guys' Gladiators, which
Mhm.
which are just nice, relatable, newer
It's
bodied
actually
vehicles.
surprising how relatable they were,
Yeah.
as always.
Yeah,
And mine's been at the show the last 3 years, so I think that's it's just there at this point.
Yeah.
yeah.
People
I mean,
expect to see a Gladiator in our booth.
yeah, and that's what I've always for years. I have not felt the need to have these. I want to have a big, over the top, outlandish things, but then you can round it out with some other just kind of relatable vehicles. Dad's LJ is getting a little more bougie as far as accessories and
Yeah.
stuff that's kind of put on it at this point, but it's still a bit of a catalog build, right?
Yeah.
I mean, a person can look at it and go, I see how I could do that to my own Jeep,
Well,
and it's amazing how many people have never seen an LJ before.
it's also, I was shocked at that still.
I literally had to explain LJ to somebody, and it didn't go well.
Right?
Because now apparently all 4-doors are LJs. I'm like, no, that's not at all what that is.
That's
But
very
it-
confusing.
But it's an unlimited. Nope.
One of the things I thought was the best is the fact that we don't have any exact brand identification. We of what products we use. So we were able to show one long arm lift kit on Eugene, and then we were able to show another one on Dad's LJ.
Yep.
And kind of show like, well, this is the pluses of this, and this is the pluses of that, and that's where this works great, and this is what that's for.
yes.
And I was able to kind of go back and forth with a guy that had literally a gorgeous LJ in the show and shine directly behind us, and he had to come over and talk LJ with us.
Yeah.
Sure.
And he was very excited to be able to kind of see.
Is he the one that said he had the same silver LJ?
No, this one was like a custom color.
Okay.
It was a full out, done up, and really nice Jeep. He was not happy with his suspension and was looking for more options. So we were able to kind of talk like, well, this is the pluses of that. This is the pluses of this. This is why we did what we did. So that was kind of cool.
That is cool.
And then Daddy Jeep is in the comments saying, "Hey guys."
And we're going to talk about him in a moment as well, a little bit. So I do want to, so it's a nice recap of generalities. Here's we're going to unpack, and we're going to say there's 7 reasons why you should include Bantam Jeep Heritage Festival as part of your travels, your Jeep excursions, things that you should prioritize attending, right? And within that, we may have an opportunity to to kind of unpack some stories and share some bits and pieces, some observations. And I'm going to unload them all for you right now. So I'm going to say all 7, and then we're going to
Unpack it.
unpack it. We're going to backtrack to it. We're going to unpack it piece by piece. But as we kind of accumulated, we said you have your vendor chat area, right? Your opportunity to talk to the vendors directly. You have your community experience, right? And that's kind of the overall community
Of
Jeepers experience. Getting ideas, right? So your ability to use your imagination and see what other folks have done, what works, what doesn't. Kind of you're talking about that LJ
And,
with his suspension he wasn't happy
how to
about.
piece your build together based on ideas you see throughout, whether
Absolutely.
it be creative or functional.
We have the trails. Obviously, a Jeep event would be lacking per se if we didn't have something to do with our Jeeps. The history exhibit and the kind of the paying homage, so that individual who didn't know what LJs were is likely a JK or a JL JT owner.
Right.
They just simply don't know the history
Correct.
of our industry.
And shout out to previously when we had that cooperation with another podcast. They literally went for the history. That's why they came to Bantam.
Interesting. And then you have the camping or, kind of that overnight experiences. And then you have the after hours experiences,
Yes.
which we'll kind of share with you in that process. So as part of the vendor chats, right? So there's your 7, and then we'll kind of go back and we'll kind of unpack those, break those down for you. The vendor area is I don't know. There's some advertised. I had grabbed their paperwork. 90, 100, 190. I don't know. Some outlandish number.
Well, if you get
There's a lot of vendors.
you want to see, you have to come next year and count.
Exactly. You got to count them all. And so you have this substantial vendor area, which is basically 2 or 3 football fields by 2 or 3 football fields is the gist of it.
Yep.
And everybody's rocking a 10 by 10 to 80-40, something along those lines, depending on where they're set up. And arguably, what I like about a number of these events, and this is not just specifically unique to Bantam, but it is to these large scale events that are nationally known shows. It's the idea is that you can have some of the largest national players, manufacturers who are manufacturing at the original equipment level, at the OE level. For example, our friends at Dana Spicer or Best Top, down to literally a gutter guard business.
Yes.
Or better yet, a 10 by 10 of a startup who's doing, who's an enthusiastic Jeeper who's just doing a little homebrewed business with, cups and jewelry and T-shirts.
There was a Jeep club there vending.
Correct.
Yeah.
Diagonal from us.
It's a great way to reach your market. And what I always liked about growing up, going to big events, even with the street rods and hot rods, is then when you had a question, you could go up to the booth and ask someone and have that kind of one-on-one. You're not waiting on hold for 5 hours. You're not getting a vague email back. You can actually go up and have a conversation with someone and say, hey, this is my experience, good or bad.
Yep.
And this is where what I need from you or from that. Plus, they usually have their newest, latest, coolest stuff out, and it's easier to go up and physically see it, touch it, kind of experience it, and see what this is, why it is, that kind of stuff. So I think that's always a good thing, especially if you're in a build or you're wanting to expand your vehicle, to be able to go and experience that firsthand.
Well, and if we talk about, we use the LJ guy and his, he's not super thrilled with his suspension, right? So you have both manufacturers and installers all in the vending area, right?
Yep.
There was at least 3 or 4 other install shops that were, that were present at the show. So you could, within reason, you can go there. You can go to a number of different vendors who build suspensions. You can say, what makes your suspension? I'm in the market. I'd like to. I've heard your brand before. Or maybe I haven't. Now that I've walked by and you have my Jeep in your booth, now I'm going to stop, right? There's an advantage. But you can literally go over to Clayton. You can go over to Skyjacker. You can go over to somebody who has Iron Rock in their booth. You can go to
JKS.
Metal Cloak. You can go to JKS, and you can ask those people directly and go, I'm in the market for a lift kit. Can you tell me why I should use yours?
What makes yours better?
Right? And then you can arguably do the same with the installation or the repair facilities.
Yes.
You can go there to these folks and go, hey, I'm looking to lift my Jeep in the most professional manner possible, or do X, Y, and Z project. I'm thinking about using your shop. Can you kind of help, share with me
Tell
why?
me what you do.
Tell me what you do.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that for customers who are not familiar with us, we get a brief 20, 30 seconds where we just kind of share with them a bit of who we are.
Yes.
Now, I will be absolutely transparent and say I feel that we're very fortunate because we have such a dedicated, amazing group of Jeepers who are part of our big Jeep family.
Yep.
That typically there's somebody else hanging around the booth who will just kind of answer on our behalf.
Yes.
Or basically we arm to arm and end to end, and we show the Jeeps, and I'm like, that is what we do. And so it's a kind of the work speaks for itself, or our customers speak for us, and that to me I'm the most proud of,
Oh yeah.
But
We literally had another vendor in our booth stamping bingo cards for us.
yes, right, which is just a neat piece of the impact we have on the community, as a whole. But if you are an individual who's just kind of getting into the scene, this is what the vendor area has for you. That's not to mention the deals and steals that exist, right? And so, you might be moved by the spirit. You showed up and, you wanted to take your doors off. Now you took doors off. You don't have any mirrors. I know factually a couple people bought mirrors because of that very reason, or you were out playing with Rob Morgan and you broke your Jeep and now you need to run over to the swap meet and grab a transfer case,
or a bar pin for a swipe,
or a bar pin
for a shock.
Absolutely, come
that
over to
literally
our
happened.
booth and trying to,
or at the very minimum, they come up and say, "Hey, this is going on. I need to get home. Can you help me?" And I was able to kind of give a guy like, "Well,
a 4-wheel drive.
Gotta get underneath there. You don't have to do this, kind of do that, and this is how you're going to get home." And he was very appreciative of that.
With that said, I need people to be discerning in their process.
Yes.
Because I fielded 2 different situations. One was a father-son team who came in from New Jersey, and their Jeep went into limp mode. Somebody sent them to us, and I tried to explain to them that the Jeep was in limp mode. They did not like my answer.
Yes.
They asked me how to take their Jeep out of limp mode.
Yes.
Could they drive home to New Jersey in limp mode? And I said, no, that's not a good choice.
Yeah.
And then through enough talking, I said, okay, well, eventually you can disconnect the battery cables, which will reset the cache memory, which will take the Jeep out of limp mode. And
However,
they were like,
it'll go right back.
However, it's going to go back in because you didn't actually fix anything. You just put a loose Band-Aid on a gushing wound. And they were like, okay, so we're good to drive home. And I was like,
nope.
Did nothing I said to you sink in?
Yes.
Like, I shared this with you, and
I honestly think a lot of that was a language barrier issue. I don't think he fully was understanding what you were saying.
I hope so.
But you did give them appropriate advice to go get it scanned, and if they
and that's the
come
other
back,
thing.
we can help them more.
If you don't, we will tell you the honest truth if you like it or not.
Yes.
We're going to try to help you if you like it or not.
Yes.
Sometimes we're going to tell you something that you're not going to want to hear, but in that situation, that is what you need to hear.
And follow up on what Jeff is sharing is that I did tell him that if he could buy a flash cow local, buy a flash cow, then he can scan it himself, figure out what's going on. If not, go to AutoZone O'Reilly's Advanced. Somebody who does a free scan printout. I offered for him to come back. I would read the scan for him and advise further at that point.
Right.
But that was the extent of what I could do to help them. So then I told them about resetting it on the drive and blah, 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 and a potential language barrier. Now, all of that said, I'd leave you with this story about the community vendor area opportunity where I decided to just keep my mouth shut was... and the problem is why the average consumer needs to be discerning in their approach. There was a group of individuals. They were specifically men having a conversation over. They were talking over a AX-15 that was ragged. Right, the back of the case was broken, and we've seen this before.
Yep.
And they were talking over it, and they, as a consensus, came to the belief that that an AX5 and an AX15 were dimensionally identical.
Oh my!
And that they could take the guts out of this broken AX15 and put them into their AX5.
Well, they will have an answer very quickly.
And you know what? I sat there and I listened to these guys have this conversation, and I thought I could weigh in on that.
Yep.
And they
but
had.
It was not going to benefit it.
It was not going to benefit them.
No.
But there was 3 to 5 of them, and there was a vendor telling them that yes, oh yeah, I think you can do that.
Oh my.
Right. And so I shut my pie hole.
Yep.
And I let them make decisions for them as individuals. Yes. Because I've been in that position before where I'm just trying to be helpful.
Yep.
And it is not well received because that is not my place. They did not engage me. They did not ask me. I was literally just a schmo at this person's booth.
Yes.
I don't know who I am or what I'm doing or why I should be there and why I would be inputting my belief. All they know is I've got an opinion and I'm sharing it with them.
Yep.
But I want them to know it. You're wrong, and I'm sorry that you bought that transmission. I watched them buy it.
Yeah.
At the end of the conversation, they exchanged finances, and this guy bought this ragged AX15, and he was headed home to put the guts of it into his AX5.
Yeah.
Nope, that's not how that works.
No.
So, with the vendor chat area, lots and lots of positives, but you do have to be
Discerning. Yes.
Totes.
My dad always said you have to know when you're smart and when to be dumb.
Yep. Yep. So, let's move on to community. One of number 2 for no specific number. He says the next reason you need to be at Bantam, and I do think that Bantam is a little bit different than other shows, and so I do want to contextualize and say, when we talk about community, I think it is going to be different than another national show, and it just has to do with how the event organizers structure. They structure the actual event. They structure how you come into it, how you meet up with it.
And I heard from several people that have attended Bantam for the first time this year that may have gone to Smoky Mountain in the past, gone to Jeep Beach in the past, gone to some of these other big shows, and they said that the community of this event and the opportunity to do trails and do some of the other things that we have on our list made this event special and to them worth coming to again.
Yeah.
And I think that's a testament to the event organizers, but
Absolutely.
also the culture of Western Pennsylvania, Eastern Ohio, that the people who are volunteering, the people who are attending in mass, it is a testament to them, right? And we could expand upon the nature of who's coming to, Jeep Beach, or who's coming to, another show. Go SEMA in Las Vegas, or Pomona Beach, something that's happening out there, whatever.
The local community, no matter what, has some effect on the show. And I think the local community around Bantam really embraces Bantam and wants to be part of the Jeep event, even if they're not necessarily into Jeeps. We saw it early on with the Bantam cutouts for all the businesses local to the area. Decorated one for the event and then proudly displayed them for the invasion and for the parades and stuff.
We had a local business down there reach out to us and try to get us VIP parking for the invasion in their parking space. They're blocking it off for the vendors that are coming to Bantam.
Yeah.
He literally emailed us and he called us and talked to me on the phone.
Yep.
He's just really appreciative of the business that gets brought to downtown.
Uh-huh.
And there's always going to be these outlying situations where something a little left of center, a little negative happens, but ultimately the event as a whole, it creates community. It's not decisive and not divisive. People bond together, both as Jeepers participating, but then also as the community supporting it.
But even when things go wrong, there was a gas tank that fell out of a Jeep, and the community of Jeepers on that trail worked together to get that tank ratchet strapped back in so they could get it off the trail.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It bound up the trail system, but for the most part, people were like, it happens.
It happens. Yeah. Yeah, they're like, it kind of bummed us out. We were stuck for an hour, but whatever. It's Jeep life.
Right.
There's an unfortunate situation on the playground over the weekend, but the community of Jeepers that were there worked together to remedy the situation as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Well, and ultimately that specific situation, there appeared to be, basically from the outside looking in, a freak accident.
Yeah.
Right. And ultimately, when we are humans, all cohabitating, accidents happen. That's just the nature of life.
Yeah.
And when we add these big machines that some work well, some don't, some are maintained differently than others, so on and so forth.
You're talking tens of thousands of Jeeps there. You're going to have Jeeps that have problems.
Correct.
Yeah.
And, a big a testament to the event organizers, because there was the appropriate support staff on hand. They had, the ability to communicate quickly through walkie-talkies, their ability to move quickly because of the golf carts and the safety and
get the emergency personnel immediately where they needed to
got
be.
the emergency personnel. There was an ambulance on site, got there and provided care for the individual who had an unfortunate circumstance with one of the Jeeps or their own Jeep, I guess. And, those things are going to happen when you have tens of thousands of people and vehicles all in a congested space.
Oh, yeah.
And ultimately, if that's the worst things that happen, then the community as a whole, both participants and support systems, is doing a pretty darn good job.
Apparently, so I'm going to jump into the comments again. First off, Amy's saying, good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Then Daddy Jeep is saying the fantastic volunteers give that community. But he also mentioned that they also had a rollover on the trails even.
Yeah.
So there's going to be
Yeah.
unfortunate things, but the